Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box, and in that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Well, guys, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you happen to celebrate this time of year. And hopefully all you guys are doing well. Hope you got all your shopping done. And hopefully you're also enjoying this downtime. Because here's the thing, guys, we only got 11 days until 2025 starts. And then it won't be long after that, you know, till we're getting ready to get our lawn set up to dominate for next season. As always, we're coming to you guys live on YouTube as our primary platform, but you can also consume the content on Meta as well as Instagram. So whichever way you want, you can feel free to chime in. And again, we'll work through the comments in the order that they come in. If you want to jump the line, a way to do that is to do a super chat. Super chats are a great way to get your question front and center, your comment front and center. And I tend to prioritize super chats over the other comments in case you have a question you want to wait until I get down to you. So guys, given that tis that time of year, tis the season, right? At the Golf Course Lawn Store, we also want to give back, and we are partnering with some of our suppliers to help make that happen. So Miramichi Green is working with us to make some goodies available to you guys, some of the cool shirts they have. We're going to be doing, some soil test kits, carbon kit, maybe some Essential G, we'll see. And then we'll tell you how you can be entered into the drawing, which will be next week. So today is the 20th, the 27th, so a couple of days after Christmas. So Christmas, I think, is Wednesdays and Boxing Day, and then the 27th is when we'll actually do the drawing. So stay tuned to the show. I'll tell you what you need to do, what you need to enter into the comments. It's a really simple question. to answer, and that will get you entered. That's all there is to it. All you do is leave a comment on this video, which you have to do once the show is over. You can't actually comment now because we're broadcasting, but once the show ends, then you can comment on this video, and that's how you get entered into the drawing to win some free stuff, right? Only thing better than lawn care products are free lawn care products. So the special thanks to all of our sponsors that are working with us to make that happen. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, we got Mr. Tom Hoffenkamp entering the show. He says, Merry Christmas, Ron. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, everyone. Big week ahead. All the best to you, your friends, and your families. Thank you so much, Tom. Really appreciate that. Hopefully you got all your shopping done. Hope the lawn is looking really good. And then next up, Tom has a question. He says, in a more mundane matter, Ron, can notifications for the live stream be permanent? YouTube makes me hit it manually every week. Am I doing something wrong? Shouldn't be, Tom. So whenever you subscribe to the channel, you subscribe and there's also the notification bell. And if you, with the notification bell, if you click on that, it give you an option to be notified. It gives you an option for all. And if you select that, then anytime like a short comes out, a video comes out, or the live stream is scheduled, you should get a notification letting you know that there's some content from the channel is now available. So that's the thing I would check. I know you're probably subscribed, but then check the notification bell because that sets your preferences as far as what you get notified for and what you don't get notified for. That's the only thing I can really think of. But yeah, like for example, me, granted, it's my channel, but whenever the live stream starts, I get a notification. I also get an email saying that, hey, the Golf Course Lawn show is now live. Ron Henry's now live. So if you're not getting that, I would think it's the notification bell. Hit that and make sure you set it to all, and you should be good to go. That's what I'm thinking. All right, next up, we got Jacob in the house. He says, Merry Christmas, Ron. Putting down some biochar and humic this winter to improve the soil structure for the upcoming season. I like it. I like it, man. I like the fact that you're taking this time, even though, the grass is not looking its best. Your grass might even be dormant, but you're saying, you know what can I do to get ahead of the competition for next year? What can I do to make sure I grow the best possible stand of turf grass on my street in my neighborhood? And working on the soil is definitely a great way to do that. So biochar, some humic, I'm a fan, man. I like it. It's a good time. It's a good decision to make that. And I think you're gonna like the results you're gonna get from that next season. All right, we got a question now from Chris Allen coming up. He says, Happy holidays. Quick question, Ron. If I'm storing any fertilizer inside the house for the winter, is it okay to vacuum seal the bags to keep the smell contained? Easy to find on Amazon and cheap too. Yeah, it's a great idea. There's no reason to not do that. The enemy of fertilizer, of keeping, is really its moisture. It's moisture. So if you're able to, I guess you're going to transfer the fertilizer into some vacuum seal bags and into some bags, and you're going to vacuum seal those bags. That's going to ensure that, the fertilizer is good to go next season. So if you can keep moisture out of the fertilizer, and if that's, vacuum sealing is a more extreme way of doing that. Most people will just kind of, take the bag and make sure they tighten it down really good and maybe tape it. But if you're going to vacuum seal it, that's even a next step up. So yeah, there's no reason to not do that if it's something you're open to doing. Part of why, if you guys have ever ordered from us, like a Celiprin G or Caravan G or Headway G, and when you get it in a box, it's like a brick, like it's in a bag, but it's like the bag is like almost like a solid brick, is because Syngenta does that. Like they vacuum seal them, they suck all the air out. One, it helps minimize breakage, but it also helps the product keep for a lot longer. So if it's sitting on a shelf for an extended period of time, it's still going to be good, fresh, good to go. Once you break that seal, you open it up. So it's like what you're doing, you're not breaking new ground. There's a lot of there's manufacturers that do that. Syngenta being one of them that we partner with that does that with their products. So again, if you got access to a vacuum sealer, I love it. I love it. Great way to preserve your fertilizer. Let's be real, man. This stuff is not cheap. So you don't want to have to get out there and have to, buy more of the same just because you didn't take the steps to be able to preserve it. So I like it. Ninos Yokana has entered the show. He says, good evening, Ron and everyone. I'm here with my likes and comments. I appreciate that, Ninos. I appreciate you taking some time out of your Friday evening to come hang out with us. And definitely do that, guys. I know it's going to be a slow night. It's a slow time of year. Folks are, probably traveling to go see family and all this kind of stuff. So I know it's going to be a slower time of year, but still appreciate you guys hitting that like button and showing up to support the content. And see, so Chris, you started. Look, so here's the thing. It never, lawn care people, I don't want to say we're like as bad as like fishing people or like golf folks, but we're not far off, because you mentioned that, and then Tom Hoffenkamp's in the live stream. He said, "At Chris, is there a big version of the vacuum sealer? That's genius, really." So you see what you're starting. You can have everybody out here buying vacuum sealers to seal up their fertilizer for next year. So but yeah, if they make it like all the vacuum seal bags I've seen, it kind of comes back to, you could think about commercials like in the late 90s, in the 2000s, where they had that device they were selling that you would the for like saving your meat, like meat or vegetables, like you would put them in the bag, and then it would vacuum seal it and then cut it. So I'm thinking about bags that are fairly small, but if you got access to something that's a lot bigger, maybe they've gotten bigger now to where that's a thing. You got me curious. What's what pray tell sealer for, I guess, yeah, for, see, all the vacuum sealers they show here are like for food. Let me see. Vacuum sealer big. How big can it? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the ones I'm thinking about, like 16 inches wide. So it depends. If you got like a small bag of fertilizer, that works. But you know what? It's interesting. I don't know. Because the way that it works is like at one end of it gets sealed. You put whatever like if you're putting meat or veggies or whatever in there, and then you insert it in the machine. It seals it, and then it evacuates all the air and then seals it. It'd be interesting to know that even though the bag is typically 16 inches or so wide, I wonder if there's a restriction on how long it could get. Because if it could be this wide, but you could get it to be 2-3 feet long, and you fill that with fertilizer and then sealed it, it'd be interesting to see how well that worked. I'm sure there's some kind of a limit, right? If you have too much volume, the device might not be able to do it. But I mean, it'd be worth a try. Report back, Chris. Let us know how it works out for you. Let us know what you use and how it works out if you decide to go that route. In my case, I don't do that. I don't vacuum seal. You're more hardcore than me. I don't vacuum seal my fertilizer. What I do is exactly what I said. If I've got a bag that's partially used, I will I'll like roll it down, get as much air out of it as I can, and then I'll tape it down, and that's worked well for me for a number of years, to where the next season I'm able to use that, and there's no problem at all. And it stays in a garage that's insulated. Doesn't get particularly cold in there or particularly hot in there, so it's mild enough that the fertilizer is fine the next season. All right, next up, we got Ryan Strong in the live stream. He says, I can cut paper with my reel. I already adjusted. Any suggestions? Okay, I think you're trying to say you can't cut paper. I think that's a question. So if you can't cut paper with your reel, you've already adjusted it. What I would say is consider backlapping the reel, Ryan. So that's a great way to help restore the edge. And then once you do that, after good backlapping, that should restore it cutting paper all the way across. If after backlapping it's still not cutting paper, that's when you may have to take it in or take it to a shop to get it ground. But I mean, I would start with backlapping first. I'm not say guaranteed, but 90% that's going to bring the edge back well enough to where you're going to be able to start cutting paper all the way across the real bed knife, that surface. So that's what I would try next. You don't want to keep cranking in on the reel to bed knife tolerance to where there's a lot of contact. Like if it's binding up to where you've got it too tight, you don't want to do that. It should be, it's almost like scissors, like the sound that scissors makes. I mean, there's going to be very light contact, but it shouldn't be so heavy that it's like you're having to force the reel to turn against the bed knife. Again, backlapping it really should be all you need to restore that edge. That's what I would recommend. And the good thing is that if that doesn't work, and you do in fact need to get it ground, this is a great time of year to get it done, right? Because it's a slow time of the season, slow time of year. I wouldn't imagine that too many people are reel mowing this time of year. So, you having to take the mower in and be up about it for a couple of weeks shouldn't be that big of a deal. All right, next up, we got Jay Bear. Jackie Bear's in the house. He says, hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much, Jackie. Hopefully you have a Merry Christmas as well, too. And next up, we got Mr. Michael Anger. He says, good evening, Ron, and I'm ready for a good stream. I'm going to do my best, man. Good is subjective. I'm going to do my best. I guarantee you that. I'll do my level best. Okay, my son is in the live stream up next and says, happy holidays to all. Hey, Ron, do you have any trees? If so, how do you take care of them? My lawn is in way better shape because of you, but now my trees are looking a little sad. I don't have very many trees. There's a Japanese maple, But outside of that, not many any trees on the property. If you're looking for like a product that you can use for trees or on trees, we do carry one that Miramichi Green makes that carries for us, and we have it on the store. It's a tree and shrub product, so I can show you really quick. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to Shop, and then to Miramichi Green Biostimulants, you will see, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll find Nutrich Tree and Shrub. So this is designed for ornamentals, to include your trees. And you can see the formulation, very light on nitrogen, but it's got a bit of everything. A little bit of nitrogen, a little bit of phosphorus, a little bit of potassium. And this formulation is specifically designed for your ornamentals and trees. So, so if you want to use this, you can absolutely go for it. There's a couple different ways to apply it. You can do a foliar spray with it. You can also do a drench where you will you use some of the product in a 5-gallon bucket with water and then pour it around the root, around the base of the tree. That's a common way that people actually use it. And yeah, overall, I mean, I highly recommend it if you're looking for something that is specifically designed for trees from the nice folks at Miramichi Green. So I'll link that here in the chat for you in case you want that, Maison. That's a good choice. A lot of folks use that, and we get good feedback with it. So give that a shot. Andre Taylor's in the live stream. He says, "Evening, Ron and community. Happy holidays. Looking forward to a good stream." Yeah, man. I'm gonna do my best. One question you guys ask is, and I got it last week, was, this time of year, how often am I running irrigation? How often am I watering? And I told you guys, not very often. I don't really have to water because where I am in the country in Northeast Georgia, we tend to get rain somewhat rarely. It'd be rare for 2 weeks, 3 weeks to go by and there'd be no rain. And case in point, we had rain a couple of days ago, and I said, you know what? I'm going to film this so the folks can see I am not lying to them. I want them to see like the amount of rain we get to where it makes watering pretty much unnecessary during the winter months. So you can see the lawn. It's very dormant right now, and you can see all that free H2O coming down. So that's plenty. I mean, again, the grass is dormant this time of year. It's not doing a whole lot, and that's more than enough. Even if we're going to get some really cool weather, that's enough to keep the root zone hydrated so you don't have any damage. And yeah, so courtesy of Mother Nature, I want to show you guys that we get plenty of rain here in Georgia, hence why I don't really run my irrigation this time of year. It's not normally necessary. All right, next up we got Mars Beads in the live stream. She says, "Good evening, Ron and all. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays." Merry Christmas to you, Mars Bees. Hopefully all is doing well. Hopefully the lawn is still, we're through the danger zone. So at this point, if your lawn is still looking good after the fertilizer over application, you're likely still good to go. So yeah, I'm glad to know that worked out for you. Okay, and Ryan is back. He says, "I can't cut a piece of paper with my reel mower. I adjusted the reel, but that didn't help. Any suggestions?" McLean reel. Okay, so a couple of things. Whenever depending on the weight of the paper you're using, what I would do whenever I test the sharpness of my mower, I'll take a piece of printer paper, because I use like fairly thin printer paper, and I'll fold it, I'll double it. And then I'll use that to test cutting across the reel and bed knife. And like I said, you can make adjustments. On a McLean, I'm not exactly sure how you make that adjustment. I've never owned a McLean, but if you're at the point where you have decreased that tolerance between the reel and the bed knife, and it's still not cutting paper all the way across, like I said, a back lap, and if it's still after that it's not doing it, send it in for a grind. What you don't want to do is get to the point to where you're having to, because I've seen it done where people will adjust that reel to bed knife tolerance so tight that you're having like force the reel to turn. That's way too tight. You don't want to do that. You're gonna cause unnecessary wear to both of them, both the reel and the bed knife, and it's just a sign that the mower needs a freshening up. So again, give a back lap a shot, see how that works out for you, and then you can you can decide accordingly what's the best course of action to take. All right, Robert Rainey, that guy has entered the live stream. What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing all right, sir. Good evening. And then Patrick in Texas says, "What's up?" Hey, Patrick, so I didn't show folks the picture that you posted in the live in the Academy group. If you want to send it to me, I will. But I mean, I think it's Patrick, but he had someone drive over his vanity strip and they did a number on it. Like what happened to my lawn? I still get a little bit of trauma when I see that video over and over what the Amazon driver did, but his looked it was not good. Like their big tire track right down his vanity strip was just not good. It's like almost like someone was on their phone or inebriated or so. I don't know what they were doing, but it's they clearly drove up on the man's vanity strip. So I don't know. But yeah, if you want to send the picture, Patrick, Ron at Golf Course Lawn, if you feel like sharing it, I will. If not, that's fine too. But yeah, as some of the folks in the Academy group said, it gives you something to do this time of year, right? All right, and next up we have Matthew Whitson. What's going on, Matthew? He says, good evening. What's going on, Matthew? Hopefully you are doing okay, sir. Hopefully all is well with you. And then Fescue Me says, I appreciate the content, Ron. Thank you so much, Fescue. I'm glad that it's useful and you're getting some value out of it. Next up, we got Stephen Jones. He says, hey, Ron, what rate of ammonium sulfate would you recommend on a 6-week-old tall fescue to give it a little push in growth? We are currently in the mid to high 60s. So look at what the label says. I don't typically recommend ammonium sulfate as a way to feed your lawn unless you're also trying to lower your soil pH, Stephen. I would just use like a regular, like a blended fertilizer, something with some nitrogen, some potassium in it. Like ammonium sulfate, if memory serves me, is something like 21% nitrogen, I think, which depending on where you are in the country, that might be a bit much for this time of year. So, I would use an actual, like a fertilizer designed for feeding turf grass versus an ammonium sulfate. If you decide you want to go ahead with that, the label will have some guidance as far as, application rates. I mean, I'd still want to keep the amount of N that you're putting into the soil this time of year fairly low, under 0.5 pound per 1,000 for sure. I mean, unless you're telling me that wherever you are in the country, your fescue is still growing actively, you're still out there regularly mowing it, I would still try and keep the amount of nitrogen you're pushing into the lawn this time of year, on the low side. This isn't really the time of year to try and push a ton of growth. I get it, you have a new lawn and that you want it to root in properly, you want it to look good, but we're in the winter, and really, even though you're in the 60s now, 2 weeks from now, you could be in the 30s and it could be a cold snap. So I really wouldn't go down the route of trying to push a bunch of growth in December personally. Again, unless you live in a part of the country where your winters are fairly mild and that's not going to happen. I just really wouldn't do it. And if you do want to feed the lawn, ammonium sulfate wouldn't be necessarily my first choice, unless again you're trying to lower your soil pH. A good option for feeding a lawn this time of year, it's a lot less nitrogen that would be going into it. Would be, I'll show you here some options. Like our 12024, that's like 12% nitrogen. That would be a good choice. I mean, Humic Max, if you back the rate down a little bit, that would also be a good choice. Any of these which are relatively lower in N, would be good choices. But again, I wouldn't try and push a bunch of growth this time of year, even in a fescue lawn. So hope that helps. But if you decide to go forward with it, the label should have some guidance, and I would keep the amount of N you're putting into the soil, fairly low, well under 0.5 pound of nitrogen, maybe 1/4 pound. I really wouldn't do very much this time of year. All right, next up is Trilla from Manila. He says, "Hey Ron, happy Friday to everyone." I appreciate that, Trilla. Hopefully you're doing all right. Hopefully this it's windy here in Georgia today, so hopefully the wind is not doing too bad with you guys. Everything is staying around in your area. But yeah, appreciate you coming to say hello in the live stream. Next up, we got Abraham Soto. He says, good evening and Merry Christmas. New sod construction. I noticed 2 different color tones. I think I have 2 different Bermudas. How would you go about making it all match? Emailed pictures. Oh boy, shock horror. You got sod put down and there's 2 different cultivars possibly, or just 2 different, we'll have to see here. Let's see, what are we working with here? What are we working with? What are we working with, Abraham? I can't believe that whoever you used would do you like that. Abraham, 1, and let's see here. I do have your picture, so I'm just renaming them really quickly here so I can get them. Ooh. Yeah, that is. I mean, that might even out, man. I mean, it looks. We'll show you guys. That will probably even out once we get into the spring. So here's picture one of Abraham's sod project, and you can see there's clearly. I'm guessing that it's that this if this entire thing got sodded, then the area you're talking about that's light is that strip that's in line with that tree on the right. And then the sod behind it is a little bit darker in color. That will likely, again, assuming it all came from the same sod farm, it's the same grass, it will probably even up once we get into the spring. So there's a better close-up picture of it. Yeah, man. I mean, I wouldn't worry too much this time of year. There's not a whole lot you can do right now. Not a whole lot you can do right now. I mean, the sod's in. It's Bermuda. It's gonna check out. It's gonna be pretty much dormant and not gonna do a whole lot until March time frame. I'm trying to see what kind of trees you have around. Unless you got some trees around you too, so it might take even a little bit longer depending on how much those trees fill in once you get to be springtime. That's the only challenge I think you might have, because I don't know how much, how the sun passes over this area. Like that area might lag a little bit. But again, I wouldn't be too concerned just yet. Will come March timeframe, March, April timeframe, when we get, days are longer, we start to get some heat and Bermuda really wakes up, it should even out. Now, what you may run into looking at this picture is if what got sodded is in line, let me go back to the first one. You see the tree on the right? If what got sodded is in line with that tree and then away from us, and then everything from the tree in is your existing sod, like that may not match. But I mean, that even though they might be both Tifway 419, but if they're from different sod farms, the color may not match that well. And there's just not really a whole lot you can do about that. Like my neighbor, the one I was telling you guys about that years ago, used Roundup on his lawn and when it was dormant and then killed parts of it. Like his lawn, when his house was built, they only sodded like 20 or 30 feet away from the back of the house. And then he had sod installed afterwards from, like, I guess, a different company. And if you go out there and look at it, I mean, if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't really see it. But if I go through and I look at it, I can clearly see the sod that was done with the house and the sod that was installed after the fact. And that sod is over, wow. I mean, his home was built in 2009, I think. So, it's been a long time, coming up on 15-ish years or so, right? So that's the area that's away from the trees, the tree outward, like those little patches of different color. I'm fairly confident that will even out. But where you may see a difference in color, again, like I said, is from the tree in, and there's not a ton that you're really going to be able to do with that. I mean, whenever you get into the growing season, once you are assuming they're both, say, Tifway 419, if you're feeding it all evenly, you're using like a good liquid spray over all of it evenly, I mean, that will help some, but it's probably not going to match exactly is what I'm trying to get to. So just prepare for that. I will tell you this much. Here's the good news. Here's the bad news. Here's the good news. I don't want to give them the bad news first or the good news first. The good news, I'll give you the good news first. The good news is you are probably the only one that's really going to notice it. I mean, there might be like your family, other folks may notice it initially, but once you get into like May, June timeframe, it gets really hot and everything is growing in this moment, you're mowing it regularly, it's not going to stick out nearly as much. Bad news is you're really picky, so you will likely always see it. Like there's a couple of spots in my lawn where a tree used to be, and I had like it was probably a 5 foot by 5 foot section where sod was put in. And it's only this past season where it doesn't stick out to me like an eyesore as much anymore. I can still see it, but you guys probably never notice it. But every time I mow the grass, I can tell you exactly where that sod went in. So hope that helps. I mean, I know it's probably not what you wanted to hear, but it's just kind of, par for the course whenever you have a Bermuda lawn and then you bring more sod in, even though it's supposed to be, the same cultivar, you can't be necessarily guaranteed that it is going to match. Can't be guaranteed it's going to match, because I personally dealt with it. I've seen folks that have fixed damaged parts of their lawn, and they've fixed damage from like like septic work being done, and it just happens. Like I tell you a story. Like at the Real Rollers Turf Work party last year, a viewer came over and came to me and asked the exact same question. He said, "Hey Ron, do you think this is ever going to get fixed?" I said, "So you had like a septic replaced or something, right?" He says, "How can you tell?" I said, "Well, you can see. It's like literally you can see the lawn. It's on nice and green, and there's literally a square where the sod was redone." And I said, "Dude, it's just. I mean, even though it's supposed to be the same cultivar, it just if they came from different sod farms, little variations." It's going to be hard for it to match exactly, but I can promise you this much, you are going to see it more than other people will. So hopefully that helps some. But the long short of it is don't worry about it till yet, and you don't necessarily even know how much color difference is really going to be until you get into like May. It's going to start waking up in March, April timeframe. I'd say by the time you get into like mid-May, that's when you're really going to be able to see what you're dealing with. Because by then it's going to be out of dormancy. You're going to be mowing it. The color is going to be there. You're going to be feeding it, and overall you'll be able to see, how much color difference, if any, there's really going to be between those sections of the lawn. So hope that helps, sir. Keep me posted. Take more pictures as we get into the springtime, and we can track your progress. All right. Next up, we have a couple of super chats. This first one is from Mr. John Williams. John Williams, thank you so much, John. Appreciate that. Super chat received. He says, "Hey, Ron, Savannah, Georgia, starting from dirt. At this time of year, what should I spray or throw down to prepare for sod, and when can I put sod down?" Great question, John. He has a follow-up super chat. Let me go on and get that one too. Super chat received. Thanks. I hit the like button, subscribe, and share so gently. I really do appreciate that, John. All the support means a lot. Okay, so as far as what you can do to prepare for new sod this time of year, I'm a huge fan of using granular biostimulants. And you know what? It happens to be the one that I'd recommend. You can actually get it for pretty cheap right now. It's on sale. So Essential G, if you go to Shop and Lawn Fertilizer, like this is what, I'll give you two options. This is what I would apply over the entire area, and you can go heavy. So if right now you're dealing with just bare dirt, it's perfect because you can get like, however many bags you depending how big the area is, you can get, several bags of Essential G, go heavy, lay that down, and then put the sod down on top of it. And that's going to help the sod establish faster. It's going to help it root in faster. So Essential G has the benefit that, one, it's on sale right now, and it's easier to apply because you can put it out with a broadcast spreader. You don't need any special tools. You don't need like a rig to put it out. Another option, arguably just as good, is to go with carbonized PNs. If you go to Shop and then Miramax Green Biostimulants. So carbonized PN is essentially biochar and Miramichi Green's compost blend. So those pretty much there's two main ingredients in it. This you could also do as well. You could do this as like a light top dressing on the bare dirt and then put sod on top of it. The only downside to using carbonized PN is you are going to have to use a leveling rake or have some kind of a rake to kind of move it in, because pretty much what you're putting down is dirt, like compost, and it's not going to go out in a spreader. So if you have like a Earthway or Lesco or kind of spreader you're using, you can't use that to put this down. So for some people, that's kind of a turnoff because it's more work. If it were me, given the choice between the two, again, it also, because it's also right now it's on sale while we have a little bit of it left, I would just get Essential G. I would load up on this and go heavy. Now, as far as can you put sod down, it depends on the kind of sod you're dealing with. Can you sod Bermuda this time of year? Absolutely. You saw that picture we just got from Abraham. You can absolutely sod Bermuda this time of year. It's not going to do a whole lot this time of year, though. So you'll put it in, and it's really not going to light off until springtime. So as long as you're good with that, there's really no negative to doing it this time of year. With you being in Savannah, you guys don't really have super cold winters because you're near the ocean, so it's going to be relatively mild. So I wouldn't really be too concerned about any kind of damage from cold weather. So yeah, if now is convenient for you, absolutely do that. Get some Essential G, go heavy, and then lay your sod on top of that. The only thing you also might consider, if you're doing it yourself, then you could also add like a starter fertilizer. So let me get you all squared away here. So this is Essential G. And if you wanted to use a starter fertilizer to go along with it, a good option is our 14714. So this guy right here, it's got a bit of everything. You got your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, a bit of kelp, a bit of humic acid, all the goodness to help that new sod establish. So long short of it is Essential G, a starter fertilizer, like the 14714, the one I'm showing here, lay your sod down, water it in, and then just wait. It's not really going to wake up and go off until springtime. Maybe a bit sooner. I mean, you're near the ocean, so maybe late February, early March is when it should start greening up, perhaps, depending on what weather's like. But yeah, there's no negative to doing it this time of year, really. I mean, my lawn was sodded in December, and you can see how it looks. It works out just fine. So yeah, no issues at all with that, John. So thanks so much for the questions, and thank you for hitting the like button. And you know what? Because you gave us our first super chat. I guess currently our only super chat. That makes you, sir, the show's sponsor. So whether you want it or not, here you go. Your name in lights for whatever that means to you. So there you go. Thanks so much. I really do appreciate you supporting the live stream, and yeah, hopefully that helps you with your project. One thing I would also tell you to do, John, you didn't ask this, but take pictures, man. Take pictures, because the thing is, once you start a lawn care project, you want to be able to see where how far you've come, because it's really easy to look at a lawn and be like, oh, it looks kind of hideous now, and the problem is developing a lawn is almost like losing weight, or almost like going to the gym and working out. Like, if you look at yourself, you stare at yourself all the time, like you don't really see it. Like, you're changing, like you may be losing weight, you may be like losing fat, building muscle, you might be getting more toned up, but you don't really see it because you stare at yourself all the time. And your lawn is very much the same way, that you'll see it and you'll see like, oh, it looks better, it's improving, but you're not really going to be able to appreciate how far it's come unless you have pictures to show what it looked like before. And I mean, people that your family will obviously see it, and when other people come over or neighbors see it, they'll be able to recognize the difference, because they're not like staring at it like a crazy person like we do. But for you to really be able to appreciate it, I tell everybody, make sure you take pictures and document the process, because it's never gonna look the way it looks now ever again. So you want to be able to, again, appreciate how far you have come. All right, so hopefully that helps, sir. And again, thank you so much for the super chat. All right, next up is Mr. Ninos Yohana. He says, how often do you core aerate and verticut your lawn? Great question, Ninos. So as far as core aeration, typically it's once per season. I normally time it around whenever I'm planning to do top dressing. So in my case, next year, it will likely be in the late April, early May timeframe for the aeration. And then for verticutting, I start doing that in my area at the end of May. So end of May, end of June, end of July, and then August. So those 4 months is when I will typically verticut. September, kind of a crapshoot. I rarely verticut then, because by then the temperatures tend to start cooling off. The lawn isn't growing as much, and I'm just kind of getting ready for it to start slowing down and going dormant. So typically, the end of May, June, July, and then as we get into August is when I start, like letting how the lawn looks and how temperature looking to drive my decision making process as far as that goes. On the topic of verticutting, I promise I didn't put him up to this. Recently, like as in a few days ago, like a week or so ago, we released a blog post on this very topic, on verticutting, dethatching, and scarifying, because people always ask, when should I verticut? Why should I dethatch? Why should I scarify? Like, what's the difference? What, when, how, when, all this kind of stuff. So there's a new blog on the Golf Course Lawn Store on this very topic. Like, what is verticutting? What is dethatching? What is scarifying? We also have a chart, if you scroll down here, that talks about each of them. It says, like, when would you use each of them? And really, dethatching, this is not something that I really recommend for the majority of lawns. It's very aggressive. As far as what you would do the most, scarifying / turf raking is the thing that you could do most during the season, and then verticutting typically once per month during the growing season. But this blog post chats all about that, talks about the benefits of it, and feel free to give it a read, because again, spend some time on it and release it a week or so ago. So if you're looking for some content on that, along with the other blogs that we recently published, feel free to give those a look. So I'll place that here in the chat now. Verticutting blog. So I hope that helps, Ninos. But again, the big thing with any of those types of cultural practices, right? We talked about when it comes to core aeration, verticutting, top dressing, scarification. Really, the way you can, or what you can use as a guide as when you want to do those kind of activities is you want the grass to be actively growing. So you want the lawn you want to be at a point in the season when you're regularly mowing the lawn. ideally at a time of year when the lawn isn't stressed. So for example, for a cool season lawn, verticutting in the spring and in the fall makes, that makes a lot of sense. For for cool season lawn, that makes a lot of sense. For a warm season lawn during the late spring through summer makes a lot of sense. For example, for a cool season lawn, I would probably refrain from any kind of heavy work, like any kind of heavy core aeration or heavy verticutting in the middle of summer. Whereas for Bermuda and Zoysia, that's perfect, because that's go time for those types of grasses, right? They're growing most aggressively then. They're going to recover really well that time of year. But if you have a cool season lawn like fescue, rye, Kentucky bluegrass, like doing a heavy core aerate or verticutting in the middle of summer, not the best time of year to do it, because the turf is really stressed then, and all you're doing is adding more stress to it. So for cool season lawns, spring and fall makes sense for those activities. And for warm season turf grass, late spring all the way through summer and into early fall makes sense. So you can think you guys have like 2 peaks for cool season turf grass, like spring, fall. And then for warm season turf grass, we have like 1 big peak that like starts in late spring and goes into the early fall. So hopefully that helps, sir. That blog will give you some additional guidance on that. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up. Feel free to let me know. Appreciate the question. And you know what, I'm sure someone else is going to have that. That's probably going to be too long to get into a short, but I will do my best. We'll see. Through the magic of editing, we will try and make it happen. We'll see, right? We shall see. All right. Next up is... Next up, we have got some more comments here. This is the hardest part. I got to find out where I left off. All right. Next up is Ron and Jesse. She says, I'm in Southern Nevada regarding my question above. I'm looking for your question above. Actually, I missed it. I see here. Actually, Steven, I see you're up next. Let me answer Ron and Jesse's question here really quick, because I answered this out of order. So let me get this one really quick. I'll come right back to you. He said, Ron, I'm a little confused. When can I add Fusilade as a pre-emergent to my tall fescue to handle Bermuda grass invasion this spring, then ultimately reseed after the application? Thanks. Okay, so a couple of things. Fusilade 2 is not a pre-emergent, it's a post-emergent herbicide. And as far as it's a post-emergent herbicide that you can use to control Bermuda grass in by itself in fescue, and if you're really careful, in Zoysia, but you're going to get some damage in Zoysia unless you use recognition with it. But for your fescue, I would wait until like late March, early April timeframe. Because here's why, right? You want the fescue to be growing so it recovers from any potential stunting or light damage it might get. And you also want the Bermuda, which we're treating as a weed, to be actively growing. So if you were to go out and use, say, Fusilade this time of year, you're not going to get a whole lot out of it, because Bermuda, depending on where you are in the country, is more than likely dormant. So it's just not going to be very effective. So you want to balance it to where, again, you want to apply it when the weed you're trying to target, in this case, Bermuda grass, pains my heart to refer to Bermuda as a weed, but in this case it is growing. So again, April-ish time frame is good, because that's also when fescue is going to be doing fairly well. That's what I would look at it. April, maybe early May time frame. You have to look at your grass, your lawn, and see how it's doing, and then that's when I would go after the Bermuda grass with the Fusilade 2. But again, it is not a pre-emergent. The Bermuda has to be actively growing, meaning it has to be greening up and has to be growing for that to work well. So I hope that helps, sir. Hope that clears it up for you. And again, Fusilade 2, not a pre-emergent, but it's a pretty effective post-emergent herbicide. So hopefully that helps. All right. Let me scroll back up here and get back into the queue. Don't have one folks yelling at me. All right, next up is Stephen Jones. He says, do you let it sit on the grass for a certain amount of time or irrigate immediately? Thanks. What is it? What are we talking about, Stephen? Oh, ammonium. So I mean, again, I don't use ammonium sulfate on my lawn. If you're talking about like fertilizer, I water it in after application. If you're talking about a granular fertilizer, I water it after application. If you're talking about a liquid fertilizer, like our golf course lawn, our 22-3, that is works by foliar uptake. That's designed to be sprayed and allowed to dry on the lawn. So it really depends on what you're dealing with. Ammonium sulfate, I mean, check the label, but I'm pretty certain you're going to want to water that one in after application. So hopefully that helps, Stephen. All right, next up, we have another super chat. This one is from Mr. Oliver Rittem. All right, Oliver, thanks so much for that.
Super chat received.
It is Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and your family. Thank you for inspiring and sharing your knowledge with us lawn enthusiasts. The 2024 season was a success. Thanks to your guidance, and I'm excited to make 2025 that much better. Thank you so much, Oliver. It's pretty awesome. And if you guys don't know Oliver's lawns, I got some good pictures of it here. I got someone who's going dormant, but I don't want to show those. I want to show it when it was in its absolute glory. I think I've got some here. If I can find, oh yeah, I think this is it I'm looking for. So Oliver's lawn, I mean, as far as a great stand of Bermuda grass, I mean, this man, I mean, look at that. That's clean. That's not even really good. I mean, those are good, but those aren't really the insane ones. If I go back here even further, let me see if I can go back and find some of his, you know, the ones where he almost should have to have a license to be growing grass that looks that good. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's clean, man. That's real clean. I don't care who you are. That's some good looking grass there. Let me see what else we got. If I go back even further, there's one where he sent to me where he had, there it is. That's what I was looking for. I mean, come on, man. You pull up and you see some grass like that. You know, this man means business. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stand of turf grass. I don't know if I have any more that you sent me over the course of the season, but yeah, overall, you take your grass very seriously, and I love the results. Thank you so much for sharing it. And yeah, you know, I shared a little bit that I know, but you did all the hard work. That's the thing. You got to realize. I mean, there's a lot of people that watch the content, but you know, you still got to do the stuff. So you did it, and that's why your online looks insane. So great work. And I always tell folks, like, you ended 2024 with your lawn looking really good. Like, I can show folks at the end of 2024 what you're working with, and I mean, even this doesn't look bad. I mean, this is it going dormant. This is it checking out, and it's still looking clean. I mean, that's, you know, a lot of folks would love to have that. So think about it. That's where you are shutting things down, but that's the starting point for next year. So it's just, here's the thing. I don't think you're even ready for it. You think you're ready, but I don't think you're ready. I don't think you realize what you're gonna be dealing with next year, man. So I'm just saying, you gotta realize it. The more amazing you have it when it shuts down, the better it can even be when it comes up, when it starts up the following year. So great work, man. Can't wait to see what you do with the lawn next season. Just keep going. It'll get better. Keep tweaking it. Keep playing with it. You know, make adjustments in your program, and you'll keep finding ways to get it even that much better. I mean, I don't know how you're going to get it much greener than it was this year, but I'm sure you're up for the challenge. But there you go, sir. Thank you for the super chat as well. There you go. Your name in lights, and I really do appreciate all the love and support and kind words. So keep going, man. It's a good inspiration as far as that goes. So great work on your lawn. All right, next up is Darren Proctor. Darren is into the live stream. He says, happy holidays to everyone. I did purchase the Revolution 26 and the extra blade reel assembly last month, so it begins. So all the work that you're putting into your barbecuing, you're not going to put that into your lawn. You got a reel mower. So here's the thing, Darren. I don't think you realize, you know, first of all, first things first, we got to clap it up for the new equipment. Got to do that. And you don't realize, man, you know, I normally reserve there's life before this and life after this when it comes to like growth regulator. Because when you start using Primo on your lawn, that's something that you will see, right? Like there's life before growth regulator and there's life after that. Like your lawn is never the same. You are never the same. Your neighbors, like people put a whole different level of respect on your name whenever you start using growth regulator on your lawn. You go into a reel mower from what you had before is like another thing, man. It's just like another level of awesome. So I don't think you even realize what you're getting yourself into. So yeah, you got the Revolution 26, which comes, I think, the 6 blade, and you got the 10 blade attachment with it too, which is good, which I like that, because what that means is whenever you're sending one out to get ground, you got the other one in, so you're never down. You're never down as far as not being able to cut. But yeah, man, you're gonna like it. It's a great mower. I mean, I'm not just saying that because Lee and the folks at Reel Rollers are friends. Like if you are going to design a reel mower from scratch and make it, you know, reasonably affordable, like not like, you know, Toro and John Deere money, you'd be hard pressed to beat the Revolution, man. It's got a lot of the stuff, a lot of the great things that make greens mowers great, and a lot of the benefits that make more consumer grade reel mowers great. So it's a really good mower. Like literally, you don't have to do anything to it. Just put oil in it, put gas in it, and lay some stripes, which is all you can ask for. So congrats, man. I'm sure you're going to really get the most out of it. What I would tell you as far as advice is don't get, I'm not sure where your lawn is right now as far as cutting height, but you know, in my testing, I find that like 3/4 of an inch is the happy area to keep your grass. As far as like if I could recommend a height of cut for most folks, for 90% of folks, I'd say keep it between 5/8 and 3/4 of an inch. The color is going to be better. It's going to stripe better. You're not going to be having to mow like a crazy person in the hottest times of the year. Just overall, there's a lot of benefits to that height of cut. So, and both the 10 blade and the 6 blade will work great at between 5/8 and 3/4 of an inch. So, awesome, man. Congrats again on the mower and getting the extra stuff. And I'm sure Lee will get the part that's out of stock to you here soon. Certainly before you need it next season. And just keep us posted. Take pictures. You see what Oliver's able to do with a real mower, so you guys can use that as like a standard, man. This is what's possible. This is possible. All right, next up is Tom Hoffenkamp. He says, I'm going to look into the vacuum for sure. Going to grab a few more bags of Essential G, and the wife and kids are already grumbling about the aroma from the 2 I already have. Thank you, Chris. So there you go. So you want the Essential G. You don't want the garage to smell while you got it in storage. So now you got to go buy the vacuum bags and sealers to help alleviate that fragrance, because you're going to get rid of the odor. So it's a snowball. Like one thing leads to the next, right? Always something. Always something. All right. Next up, we have Golf Junkie. He says, is there a limit on the amount of humic acid you can put on your lawn, on your yard? There probably is. I've never heard of one, Golf Junkie. I mean, I've never, it's a good question. I've not heard of one. I mean, most people use humic acid like the way they use like other biostimulants. It's something that they kind of just use in their program at relatively low rates. So I've never heard of anyone really overdoing it. Can you? I suppose. I mean, you probably can overdo anything, but I never heard of anyone having a problem in their lawn due to like an over application or a heavy application of humic acid. Like it's kind of like Essential G. Can you overdo it with that? I guess. I mean, it's technically possible. Like if you took it and buried the entire lawn in 3 inches of the stuff, yeah, you're probably going to smother the grass. But like short of that, in other words, if you can put it down heavy enough, as long as the grass can still grow through, you're going to be okay. So to answer your question, I don't know if there's a limit to it, and I've not heard of anyone having or causing any kind of damage from a heavy application of humic acid. It's not like fertilizer or herbicides where you really need to stick to rates where there's a dose that is beneficial, and then if you exceed that dose, that you start running into problems. I've not heard of that with humic acid. So hope that helps. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you, but I'm inclined to say no. Not reasonably anyway. Not one that anyone is ever going to hit. All right. Next up is Chris Allen. He says, at Thomas, exactly what I did. I picked up some extra bags on sale before they're gone for good and sealed them up. Works great. I also added a deodorizer just in case, but it's been great. So you bought Essential G, and you know what, you guys, I shouldn't be surprised because it's Christmas time. And like none of you guys are mowing your grass, and yet you're on a live stream on a Friday night talking about turf grass. So why am I surprised that you guys bought a vacuum sealer to go seal up your biostimulant to keep I shouldn't even be shocked about that. I don't understand why I'm even shocked about it. But you guys, wonders never cease. You gotta send us pictures, Chris. Here's the one thing I'm gonna say is your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take a picture of it. Send us a picture of the Essential G in a vacuum sealed bag so we can show it off to everybody. You have to go do it now. Actually, I'm sure this is probably maybe nighttime where you are, but send us some pictures and we'll show everyone next week in the live stream when we do the drawing as far as, another way of storing Essential G to not have the fragrance. All right, Ninos is up next. He says, by the way, Ron, thanks for updating the Academy calendar. You are very welcome. Yeah, Ninos, no worries about that. For any of you guys that are wondering what he's talking about, in the Golf Course Academy, which is our paid course, I also do a calendar that has more detail in it and notes in it compared to what you can get for free on the golf course lawn store here. So this is our monthly application schedule, which kind of shows from month to month what to do. The calendar on the golf course lawn store is like a lot more detailed. Literally, it gives you on this day apply this and this do that. I mean, within a day or two you can move things around based on your schedule. But yeah, I mean, that's what he's referring to. Some of the guys in the group were asking to get the calendar. The new one, so the one for 2025 was updated. I think I did it last weekend. So you guys all have access to that. And if there's any issues or anything that you guys see or any tweaks you might want, let me know and I can adjust that. The only thing that's going to change in the calendar that's in the academy is once Essential G is no more and we switch to carbonized PNG, I will update it to change the references to carbonized PNG, just because it would irritate me to have the calendar referencing a product that you can't get anymore. So that's the only change you're really going to see here in a month or so, whenever we start carrying carbonized PNG. All right, we have another super chat. Let's grab that one really quick. This one is from Mr. Rhyme Entertainment. All right, let's grab that real quick.
Super chat.
He says, "Hello, Ron. How do I restart my seeding next spring? Crabgrass took over my backyard, and after doing some construction, okay, I cut it really low and sprayed some tenacity, topsoil, aerate, and then seed. Best grass for a play area." Okay, so there's a lot in that, Rhyme. So it sounds like if you've gotten rid of the crabgrass with tenacity, that's good. If you're planning, as far as knowing what kind of grass is the best for a play area, it's tough to know. I'm guessing that you have cool season grass because you wouldn't be using tenacity, or it's not advisable to use tenacity on warm season turf grass. So I'm assuming you got a cool season lawn. So it really depends on what grass, like appearance wise, you like. You could do a fescue, you could do a ryegrass, you could do a Kentucky bluegrass. Like any of those will work well. It really depends on what, if you like a taller grass, then tall fescue makes sense. If you want something that you can reel mow and keep a bit tighter, then Kentucky bluegrass is a good choice. Ryegrass germinates really quickly. So they're all great options. It just depends on which one really suits your eye, which one you like better, because they do look quite a bit different. And as far as the process goes, if you're starting with bare dirt, the process I would tell you is similar to what I told the other viewer earlier that's planning on doing a sodding project. So if you want to aerate, that's a great idea. Aerate, do a biostimulant of some sort, of granular biostimulant. So like Essential G, carbonized PN would be great choices. Apply a starter fertilizer like our 14714, and then put out your grass seed. Put out your grass seed, rake it in to get to establish that seed to soil contact, water it, and just wait. As far as timing goes, you're going to want to wait until soil temperatures are ideal for whatever grass seed you decide to go with to germinate. So for cool season grass seed, it tends to be a little bit cooler than what you would do for like warm season grass. So for Bermuda, you want temps to be like in the mid 60s, trending warmer for soil temperatures. For cool season grass, you can be in the 50s, like mid 50s, and then trending warmer to start getting some good germination. So depending on when those types of soil temps are in your area, that's when I would consider taking on this project. So for most people, again, depends where you're in the country, March, April timeframe would be good, a good time to look at it. But your process would be aerate, granular biostimulant, starter fertilizer, and if you wanted to do a light top dressing with some compost of some sort, like carbonized PN, and then put your grass seed down and rake that all in, that would be absolutely fine too. But the big thing is, the thing that's going to drive it is soil temperatures. You want to do this when soil temperatures are ideal for you to get good germination based on the grass seed type that you go with. All right, so hopefully that helps, sir. Sorry you're dealing with a bunch of crabgrass, this past year, but sounds like you got ahead of that. The thing I will tell you is that once you get the this new grass to establish, you're really going to want to stay away from pre-emergent and be very careful with herbicides. Really, for the first 6 months. For pre-emergent, really 6 months is at a minimum. Really, a year is better. And then for post-emergent herbicides, you're really going to want to wait until you're regularly mowing the lawn. And if you can, it'd be better to just manually control the weeds. So manually pull the weeds if you can, just to minimize any damage. So what I would not want you to do is to go out there, do this whole process, get the grass growing in, and as the grass is germinating, you're seeing some crabgrass or some other weeds, and then you go out there and blanket spray the lawn with herbicide. I really would not do that, because you take the chance of damaging the grass that you're putting a lot of time and effort and money into growing in. So once you start this project, you're gonna have to be really sparing with any kind of herbicide use. At best, spot spray in some areas where you got like a big concentration, but if you can, just pulling the weeds is really gonna be the best strategy. So hope that helps. Thank you so much for the super chat. Great question. If you need anything else, do let me know. All right, so next we have Ron and Jesse says, I'm in Southern Nevada regarding my question above. No worries, Ron and Jesse. Yeah, so you're in about the Fusilade question. Yeah, so same thing. Because you're using Fusilade to control Bermuda and fescue, the same rule applies as if whenever you're using herbicides to really control any weeds. Like you want to, a couple of things you want to do is whenever you're picking whenever you're trying to get rid of a weed, you want to know like what herbicide was one labeled to control said weed, and then is that herbicide safe for my particular grass type? So you've checked both those boxes, and that Fusilade 2 can be used on fescue, and it can be used for controlling Bermuda grass. So the only thing that's really left now is the timing of when to use it. And because Bermuda, we're treating that as a weed, you want to spray it when Bermuda is actively growing. So when it's coming out of dormancy, that's when you're going to want to do that. So again, even in Southern Nevada, I mean, April, maybe not March, April timeframe, whenever the Bermuda is waking up and beginning to grow, that's when you can use the Fusilade to knock it out. So hopefully that helps. All right, next up we have No Name. He says, Merry Christmas, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts. Let's get those likes up. Let's do that, guys. We got 63 people in the live stream, only 59 likes. So if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button ever so gently, I'd really appreciate it. For any of you guys that are on Instagram, they are probably going to give me Das Boot here in a second. So if you guys want to continue being part of the show, jump over to either Facebook or come into on YouTube. That way you can see the answers. So I see that there's a question I got here, and I haven't had a chance to answer it. So if the stream drops in the next minute or so on Instagram, just go over to YouTube and I'll answer your question. All right, next up is Crystal Manigault. She says, hey, Ron, thanks for the 2025 calendar. You are very welcome, Crystal. Glad that it's useful. And then next we got Oconee Jacket. It says, nice to have a little time off. Spring will be here before we know it. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, spring will be here before you know it, but not only spring, man. You can remember pre-emergent time. We're only, if you're in Georgia, Northeast Georgia, you're, early February, you could be getting your spring pre-emergent going then. So you're only 6 weeks out before being able to be out there. Well, more than that, more like 8 weeks out before you start looking at any kind of lawn activities. Mr. Jason Harrison is out, entered the chat. He says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Hana Kwanzaa. I appreciate that, Jason. Thanks. Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa to you. And next up, we got Deshal in the live stream. He says, Merry Christmas. May your Christmas be merry and bright. I appreciate that. DJ Shawl, thank you for the kind words. And then next up, we have Tavares Jones. A name that sounds like you mean business. He says, Merry Christmas in North Carolina with turf type tall fescue. Just got results from a soil test. pH is good. N and K are low. Phosphorus and all our nutrients are very low. Anything I can do over the winter to improve or wait until springtime? I'd wait, Tavares. I mean, fescue is probably still growing this time of year, but, albeit a bit slowly. I would wait until spring personally. The thing that's really good that you got from your soil test results is that your pH is in good shape. Everything else you listed there, you can bring those up relatively quickly. A good choice would be the 14-7-14, that we carry on the golf course lawn soil. That's a good balanced fertilizer, has a bit of everything in it. That is what I would use, North Carolina come March timeframe. So oftentimes I tell folks to open up the season with the 12-0-24. In your case, you've got soil test results showing that you're phosphorus deficient. So and nitrogen and potassium deficient. But in that case, this would be a more suitable choice. That is the wrong link. Let me get that for you. This would be a better choice for your lawn, given what you're working with. But the big thing is your pH is good, because that's the thing that's honestly the hardest, but it can take the longest time to correct. So the fact that it's in good shape, I like it. You're good to go. All right, next up is Dylan Moore. He says, happy to finally be able to catch another live. Usually have to watch replays. Thanks for the great info. You're very welcome, Dylan. I'm glad that it's useful. See there in your backswing. Is it in your backswing or you going after it? I can't tell what part of your swing you're in there. But either way, it looks like you're out there hitting the ball, so have fun with that. Next up, we got Richard Taylor. He says, could you just put nitrogen on the lighter grass but not the darker grass? Just a thought. You could, but I mean, you really wouldn't want to feed the lawn evenly. I would not be too wrapped around the axle as far as how that looks now. I mean, some of the color differences you could be seeing is, yes, like a lack of nitrogen, but really you're not going to know until like March, April rolls around and the lawn wakes up. You're starting to mow it. You're starting to feed it. You're putting in other words, there's not really any nutrient deficiencies. There's plenty of temperature, plenty of sunlight. You're regularly mowing it. Then you're going to really see what you're working with. Right now, it's tough to be able to say, what the lawn is going to look like until next spring. So I really wouldn't worry about it too much. I know it's easy for me to say that, and I'm not the one looking at it, right? But I really wouldn't sweat it too much just yet. And then Tom is weighing in on the ammonium sulfate. He says, I would go at a 1/4 pound per thousand every 2 weeks max at this time of year. It's fast. It will burn. You got to water it in as well immediately. I've used it very successfully, but you got to be careful. So there you go. You got someone that's actually used it. And yeah, as I thought, low rates, watering after application. I personally would just use like a balanced fertilizer, like something where there's less risk, where you have a lot more margin. But to each his own, to each his or her own. All right. Soul on the Best says, when it comes to my Bermuda lawn, my motto is in Ron we trust. I appreciate that, man. That's a big statement of faith. Hopefully you'll be able to say that as well for the for Zoysia here soon, because next year that's the plan, man. Zoysia renovation project for the front lawn. So we'll see how it works out. We'll see. We shall see. I'm looking forward to it. Something fun and new to do for next season, right? And then Patrick says, I have video evidence. Oh, so you have a way to relive it? You can actually see what happened. You get license plates. You already sending out a search party to find who the guilty party is. Hopefully, I can't imagine. Hopefully, it's no one in your family. That would be kind of awkward. But yeah, it's probably someone again like not paying attention on their phone. Obviously not paying attention. That's stating the obvious. Like no sane person like purposely drives on a lawn, I mean, purposely anyway. But yeah, hopefully, speedy recovery. Patrick, I know it looks pretty gnarly from what I saw in the pictures that you sent, but it will recover. This too shall pass. Probably not till springtime, but it will get better. It will get better. And if you need, you know what, it is a season for sharing. So, I'll give you something to make you feel a little bit better, because it could always be worse. Let me go back. Let me see if I can get my video to show here again of my lawn being savagely abused. Let me see here, theater mode. Yeah. So here, I give you a little pick me up, okay? For you to realize that it's not just you. It's not a problem that only you have to deal with. So here is Amazon one more time. Look at that. So the vanity strip with the front tire and the front lawn with the front. I mean, look about that. That's deep into the lawn. That wasn't even he didn't just clip that. I mean, there's plenty of grass. As I've said this before, there's plenty of grass between that front wheel and the pavement. Like, this was not even remotely close. Anyway. So anyway, we get through through that. They drop off whatever packages they're going to drop off. And you know what? The only thing that really would make this perfect is if we got the right side going out, because the front side's already been violated. So let's go and look at the back side, the right side here. Here we go. And over my vanity strip. Beautiful. So you see, Patrick, it's not just you. It's not just you. At least they only got what I saw. I mean, granted, your lawn looked like it was wet, so it was like a pretty nasty rut was what they put into it. Like mine, you can't really see the damage that well what they did, but I can assure you it was pretty ugly. But yeah, hopefully that'll cheer you up a little bit to realize it's not just you. It happens to the best of us. There's people that just don't have respect for lawns, and at least you only hit one time. I got, did the hat trick on my lawn. I got hit 3 times, 3 different sections of the lawn, all in one go, all within a space of a few minutes. All right, Alan J is up next. He says, I have learned a lot from you over the last few months. Thank you very much for all the great info. I appreciate that, Alan. I'm glad that the content is useful. And hopefully it's helping you get your lawn looking the best on your street, hopefully even the best in your neighborhood. That's what we're after. Nino says, Tom, you're not alone. My wife always complains about Essential G, so I took it from the garage and placed it in the basement. Now she says I'm going to the basement. Well, here's the thing, guys. One good positive I'll give you guys is that carbonized PNG does not have the fragrance that Essential G does. It doesn't smell. It doesn't smell any nearly as like a Essential G does. So that's going to be a positive. Like your neighbors aren't going to know, your family members aren't going to be mad at you anymore about the smell. The one cool thing about it as well too is the prill size. Like Miramichi Green, they're still making some tweaks to it. I know that they've released it, but they're still making some small tweaks. And by the time we start carrying it next year, the prill size is going to be greens grade. So that's also something kind of cool to look forward to as well. You have a really fine prill, which is good, right? It's even better. That's even better. For those of us that are real mowing our lawns, have that nice dense stand of turf, it's going to help it get into that soil that much easier. And Nino says, I have 20 bags of Essential G. You can imagine the smell. Yeah, I can imagine it, man. That's probably kicking. It's probably kicking. But you'll be putting it down here soon. It'll be gone soon. It'll be okay. This too shall pass. Your wife. Here's the thing you can tell your wife, right? I mean, she may or may not agree with this. This may help you. May or may not help you. If it helps you, I'll take credit. If it doesn't help you, I don't know. Is that there's far worse things you could be into other than like your lawn. Like if you get into like cars, that's way more expensive. You get into fishing, that's really expensive. Heaven forbid you get into golf, because then you're gone and you're spending a bunch of money and it takes a lot of time. So, your lawn care, at least you're right there, you're around, and it's a point of pride. When she drives up to the house, she can be like, oh, look, the lawn looks really nice. And other ladies in the neighborhood that see the lawn will be like, oh, look, Miss Yokohana's lawn, really, it's stellar. It looks really nice. So got to realize, man, you got to do the work. You can't, you want the lawn to look really nice, and that doesn't come without work. You can't be mad for results you don't get for work you didn't do. And you're putting in the work, so she's got to realize this is all part of the process. Now, as she's cool with that, then again, I'll take credit. And if she's like, whatever, Ron Henry can go to HELL, then I can't help you. I don't know what to say. I did my best. All right, Bill Stewart is up next. He says, hey, Ron and lawn care crew. He says, my Bermuda doesn't go dormant here in SoCal. Subtle flex. That's what that was, guys. We're just gonna move past that. But growth is way down. I still mow once a week. Regarding PGR, is the juice worth the squeeze to reap the benefits besides growth regulator? Is the juice worth the squeeze? I mean, I don't understand. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, growth. It's okay. Is growth regulator, is PGR mandatory? No. But if you have Bermuda grass, and especially if you're real mowing it, it's a game changer. It makes a big difference in the appearance of the turf. I mean, if you look at Oliver, use Oliver's lawn. I mean, granted, his lawn is like dormant right now, but I mean, like you get a richness in color, in density. I'll show you a good example here. Let me go back to, I'll show you the difference as far as density goes. Because people are like, how does growth regulator make your lawn more dense? So I can actually show you. Took a picture here, or actually a Academy member sent me this picture of their lawn. So grass, a piece of Bermuda grass from their lawn versus their neighbor's lawn. So if you go to, I think I've got it here. Yes. So Primo Max is a growth regulator that we recommend. You can also mix it along with the new EZ, which is another growth regulator. Those two PGRs together is an amazing combo. But if you look, this is the same grass. Again, you got literally like two lawns right next to each other. So it's the same Bermuda grass. The one on the left, no Primo, and the one on the right with Primo. So you can see the difference as far as the density, like how much more leaf you're growing given the same area with Primo Max versus no Primo. So it just helps the lawn really thicken up, become really dense. It slows down growth. The color is better. I mean, there's tons of benefits to it. And the thing is, if you're out there anyway spraying liquid fertilizer on your lawn, you can, pre-emergent is something else you just add to the tank. So it's not like you have to get out there and do a special spray just for growth regulator. If you're doing a spoon feeding program where every couple of weeks you're out there spraying, liquid fertilizer at low rates, then just throw a bit of Primo and a new EZ in the tank, and you're off for the races. It's not like you have to go out there and do a special spray just for the growth regulator. So it's, as far as effort goes, as far as effort based on benefits, I completely think it's worth it. You know what I mean? Because I'm out there anyway, so it's not like it can't all just go in the tank and save time. So yes, I would absolutely recommend it. It falls in the same line as when you switch from a rotary mower to a reel mower. There is life before Primo and there's life after Primo. It is that much of a difference as far as the appearance that it makes to your lawn. And real mowed lawns especially see it, but even lawns that are rotary mows still benefit from using growth regulator. Like all lawns really can benefit from it. So yes, I personally would. It's completely worth the squeeze in my opinion. All right, next up is Johnny Bravo 101. He says, hey Ron, I know you killed a mole a couple of years ago. Do you ever have trouble with moles again? Yeah, I had one that came in a couple of months ago, maybe 2 months ago, and you made quick work of them. I just used a scissors trap, and yeah, that was that made quick work of getting rid of the mole. Yeah, I mean the one that you guys are probably thinking about is actually no, the one you're thinking about is the one that I made the video about. Then we had the recent one that Robert sent me the picture of Marquise right here. You can see a picture of him right there. And that's not actually him, but Robert's got a terrible sense of humor, so this is what he sent me. But yeah, I've had 1, 2, 3 moles, in the lawn. The one from a few years back, there was one over around this time of year last year, and then a couple of months ago, there was one that I got rid of. So 3 so far. So the nice thing is those, once you identify the tunnel that they're using, like an active tunnel that they're working with, that's the hardest part. And then you set the traps, and normally within 24, 48 hours, you get it and it's gone. So they're not that difficult to get rid of. They just make a big mess while you're waiting to catch one. All right, next up is Terrence Stamps. He says, good evening, Ron and all. Wishing you the happiest of holidays. I appreciate that, Terrence. Thank you so much for coming by to say hello. And then next up, we got Good Man's Journey. He says, Ron, can you put down a fungicide and insecticide down before spring seeding? Sure. Yeah, no problem with doing that. If your plan is to do, again, I'm going to answer this question as if you were like my neighbor in Georgia, because I'm not sure where you are in the country. So the time when I typically will do my insecticide, acelepryn, would be late March, early April timeframe. So let's say you were doing a seeding project around then. Yes, you could absolutely do acelepryn before the seeding project. And if you wanted to also do fungicide, you could do it then as well. That's probably a little bit early unless you've got a history of disease problems in your lawn for fungicide, in my opinion. But to answer your question, yes. I mean, as long as you stick to the label rates, there's no problem with doing insecticide and fungicide prior to your spring seeding. Big thing is just stick to the rates, and you'll be just fine. It's not like, in other words, insecticide and fungicide are not like herbicides where they have a very big chance of negatively impacting growth, the germination of grass seeds. As long as you stick to the rates, you're gonna be just fine. It's a good question. Good Man's Journey. Appreciate that. And then next up, we have Emmanuel Jacobs. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Question, what is your recommendation on keeping Bermuda grass out of tree beds? Natural edge is not an option for me. Thanks. Yeah, so it's going to be a challenge, Emmanuel, because Bermuda spreads a couple of ways, right? Above ground and via rhizomes, so via the root system. So if you have trees, if you can put some kind of a physical barrier, that's going to help quite a bit. So if you can get like you do like pavers around the tree, or if you can get like I don't know what would you call it, but it's like a piece of metal, like metal border that you can place around the tree, depending on how big the tree is. That may not work. That ideally also goes a bit beneath the surface, like into the soil. That is going to slow down how quickly the Bermuda encroaches into the tree bed. It's going to slow it down enough that you're going to be able to see it and then spray it out before it gets out of hand. Your point as far as a natural edge, you're always going to be fighting that. I mean, can you do it? Yes, but it's always going to be a constant battle to try and keep the Bermuda away from the tree beds. Your best bet is a physical barrier, pavers, something to kind of again physically separate between your lawn and the tree bed. And even then, it's still going to get in there. It's just going to take a little bit longer. So yeah, and it's something you're just going to have to constantly manage. The thing is, you can manage it with as far as herbicides go. You could use glyphosate and Fusilade to get rid of the Bermuda, but you got to be really careful because you don't want to take the risk of damaging. If it gets too close to the tree, you don't want to take a chance of damaging or injuring the tree using that concoction. For like a mulch bed and turf grass, so say you had like your lawn and the mulch bed right here. If you had like lawn, pavers, mulch bed, that works really well. Like if you're using like Fusilade and glyphosate inside the mulch bed to keep the Bermuda out that gets in there, that works really well. But your trees, you just gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with the glyphosate. You don't want to damage. You want to be careful. A lot of ornamentals tolerate Fusilade 2 fairly well. Like there's a long list of ornamentals that Fusilade 2 will work well, or that will tolerate Fusilade 2. But glyphosate is the part that you got to be careful. Got to be careful with. So physical barrier, and then manage it as need, either by physically pulling it or being very careful with selective herbicide use. Fusilade 2 would be my recommendation. But again, if you mix some glyphosate with it, works really well. You just got to be really careful. So hope that helps, sir. Next up, you know what? I'm going to make a note of that because I'm sure other folks are going to have that question as well, Emmanuel. Jacobs. All right. Next up, we have, let's see, we got Wayne, we got Devin. Devin's in the live stream. He said, what's up, Ron? A little late, but looking forward to some good turf talk. I appreciate that, Devin. Thanks for coming to say hi. Guys, on the topic of guests coming on the show, we're working on it, and I think we pretty much nailed down that the first live stream of 2025, we will have Devin on as a guest. I think that's the plan, which is going to be, let me break my calendar out here really quickly. I think it's the 6th, I think. No, I'm wrong. I think it's the 3rd. Yeah, the 3rd. So yeah, January 3rd is, that's gonna be the first live stream of 2025. And I believe that's what we're planning to have Devin on. I mean, assuming schedules and everything still work out, that's what we're looking for. So for any of you guys that have, questions around, building a golf course at home or building a green at home, or a lot of cool season turf grass questions, in particular, get them all queued up because he is, that's his forte. That is what he manages on the golf course, is cool season turf grass. But yeah, hopefully all is going well with you, Devin. Hopefully you guys aren't getting covered up in snow. I know you guys were dealing with a ton of it there in recent months. So hopefully it's slowed down some. All right. And next up, we got Tom. He says, oh, been forgetting this question forever. Silica, what is the benefit of it? Is it the secret sauce in Essential G, but no other products really emphasize it? Yeah, so the idea behind silica, Tom, is research has shown that what it can do is it helps improve the cell wall strength. That's what the folks at Miramichi Green have told me. And if you go and do some research around silica or silicon and additives to or benefits for turf grass, it can help improve cell wall strength. So why is that beneficial? The idea is that it can help with disease resistance is what the folks at Miramichi Green have told me that's why they added that. There's research both ways behind it, but that is the reasoning behind why they added that to Essential G. Why other companies don't or have not added in mass is part of the reason why you see Essential G's being discontinued, because one, it's hard to do, and then getting all those ingredients together, I mean, in the quantities you need to mass produce it can be challenging. You got to realize with carbonized PNG, there's really 3 main ingredients. There's the microbial package, there's the biochar, which Miramichi Green makes, and there's their compost that they also manufacture. With Essential G, there's reclaimed coffee grounds, the biochar, compost, humate, and silicon. So there's a lot more stuff that goes into that. And again, we're just trying to reduce this stuff in mass and have a batch to batch, have it be consistent. It's been a challenge. So hence why Once it's gone, and we're going to be moving to carbonize PNG. But that's the benefits, Tom, as far as why they added silica to Essential G. And I think I also covered that in the video that I did a couple years back comparing Essential G to Carbon Pro G. If I can find it, I'll link it here in the chat. I think I said that or spoke about that in that video. Let me find it for you really quickly. Let me see if I can find it for you really quickly. Let me see. Carbon Pro. Yep, here it is right here. Cool. Wow, 2021, man. How time flies. So yeah, this video is when I did a comparison between the two, Tom. And it's a short watch, and you can, I believe I covered that topic in there as well. All right, next up is Wayne Chandler. He says, happy holidays, everyone. Thanks, Ron, for what you do. Have learned a lot about lawn care. Glad to hear about that, Wayne. I appreciate you watching. Really means a lot. And then Tom is back in. He says, on Zoysia, Ron, I need a supplier that is willing to smuggle it to California. No one has it locally. I'm not getting it from Amazon, for goodness sakes. Any tips? Wait a minute, you guys can't get Zoysia in California? Why not? I don't understand why can't you get, I don't know why they can't get Zoysia in California. As far as getting it, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess you could grow it from grass seed, but I mean, sod is really, I mean, it's probably frankly, I think a better way to go. Yeah, I mean, even trucking it in, you have to find somewhere that's still relatively close. You're trying to tell me that no one in California, hang on, why can't you get, that's crazy, Tom. You can't get Zoysia. Hang on, Zoysia sod. Someone has to have it. I can't believe California outlawed Zoysia. This is calling around to sod farms in San Diego County and can't find anyone that sells Zoysia sod. Wow. Only sod farms I can find are in Texas or in the Southeast. Huh. I guess. Yeah. So I guess, I mean, yeah, it's weird. I mean, California has plenty of sunlight. I don't understand why you wouldn't grow Zoysia there. I don't know. People grow Bermuda there, which, arguably Zoysia would do. Yeah, I can't see why you wouldn't grow Zoysia in California. Like, you've got all the climates. I mean, it should do really well there. Maybe just not enough demand, Tom. I'm not sure, man. That's interesting. Learn something new. Next up is Serge. He says, hey, Ron, I hope all is well. Centipede appears to be taking over my Bermuda in 2 separate areas. What is the best way to get rid of centipede out of my Bermuda grass? And when is the best time to address it? This is a question that I can give you the answer to, Serge. So, centipede, in this case, we're trying to treat it like a weed. So we want to go after it whenever it's actively growing, which really early spring is really going to be your best bet. There is a herbicide called quinclorac, and I will show it to you. If you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop, and then you go to weed killer. And I think it's on the second page. No, it's right here. So quinclorac, this guy, is excellent for controlling crabgrass. That's what it's really known for. But it also turns out that neither centipede or St. Augustine grass tolerate quinclorac, but Bermuda grass tolerates it really well. So as far as a way to selectively remove either St. Augustine or centipede out of a Bermuda lawn, quinclorac is what I would say to go with. So yeah, time of year to do it in the springtime, whenever the centipede is woken up, when it's starting to grow aggressively, because again, we're trying to treat it like a weed. So when it's growing is when the herbicides are going to be more effective against it. So that's when I would wait to do it. But yeah, you're gonna be good to go. Quinclorac is exactly what I would use, and I would get the kit. We have, you can get it by itself, but the kit also includes surfactant and dye. You really want to use surfactant along with this to get the best result. So I'll send you a link to that really quickly here in the chat, and that is what I would do. That's a good question, man, because had you asked me the other way around, I'd be like, there's not not really an easy way. Like, if you're trying to get rid of Bermuda out of centipede, there's not an easy way of doing that. Some people say you can use atrazine, but it's not really, I mean, it'll like ding the Bermuda, but it's not really going to kill it. So it's not, so the other way around, very difficult problem to solve, but what you're trying to do, getting rid of centipede in Bermuda, relatively easy to solve. And again, quinclorac is what I would use. Quinclorac, surfactant, and just, it may take a couple of rounds of applications to get rid of it, but that will work well. And again, Bermuda tolerates it just fine. Centipede and St. Augustine not so much, which is exactly what we want in this case, right? All right. Next, we got Devin. He says, a hopping cap. I says silicon improves the plant's ability to withstand drought and salinity stress by strengthening the cell walls and reducing water loss. It's a great nutrient to add and isn't talked about enough. So there you go. So Devin said it even better than I did. Again, the reason why it'd be nice if that was also included personally in carbonized PNG. But if you guys remember, with Essential G, we've had challenges over the years with just keeping this stuff in stock. This past season, it wasn't too bad, but in years past, man, you had like several months would go by and you couldn't even get it. So pretty much Marici got, fed up with that. And so we just, the decision was made to simplify the formulation, biochar, microbial package, and compost. So they're going to be able to make in mass. There's never really going to be a problem with having enough inventory. But yeah, Essential G, I'm telling you, man, it's a great product. I still got a lot of it in my garage. It's a great product. There's nothing wrong with Essential G. And again, right now you can get it at a discount because we're trying to move it out to get ready for carbonized PNG. Because when it's gone, it's gone. It is not coming back. Not that I've heard of, not anytime soon. So yeah, thanks for that, Devin. Appreciate it. And then next up is Jason Harrison. He says, is there a product you like in particular that is not available through Ron or the market in general? That was for Devin. I don't know, it's a good question. You should ask, but whenever, Devin, save that one. Don't answer that now. Save it for whenever you're on the live stream 2 weeks from now, so we can answer that question. It's a good one. So I'm going to save that, Jason. I'm going to screenshot it so we can ask him, what's some good products that you have access to in the market that you would like that we don't carry, and maybe based on what he says, maybe we should start carrying it. All right, Mel Allen is up next. He says, on a happier note, I'm smoking a brisket for Christmas dinner. Good choice, man. I like that. I guess, what is traditional Christmas dinner? You don't do turkey. I guess it's ham. I guess ham would be like a traditional Christmas fare. But I mean, there's really no rules about that, right? I mean, there's not really, I'm trying to think, is there ever a time of year when brisket is not a good idea? And I can't really think of one. Can you guys think of when would brisket be inappropriate? I can't really think of a time when brisket would not be, but it is not the right answer. So I like it, Mel. Next up is Jared George. He says, Ron, the stems or stolons of Bermuda, what promotes those being more hidden? My front lawn, it seems, as the season progresses, I barely see them. The backyard is a different story. Compaction. So you're talking about the stolons? I don't know what you mean. Like them. I mean, I'm not sure I understand the question. So you're saying you see them more in one part of the lawn than you do the other. I would say this, Jared, if typically if a lawn is thick, like once it's thickened up, you really don't see like the individual runners that well. What can cause stolons to kind of like to not really tack down? If you went really crazy with your pre-emergent use, like if you overdid it, I've seen that cause long stolons that don't necessarily tack down or really like weave into a nice carpet where you really don't see them as apparently. I've seen that, but really that shouldn't be. It's not a common thing. Like I don't have that on my lawn. Most Bermuda lawns, you don't really see that. One thing you can do to make them less apparent is if you use growth regulator, they will become less apparent because Primo in particular, it suppresses gibberellic acid synthesis, which is what causes stem growth. It causes the elongation of the stem. So if you are suppressing that, the grass then grows more leaf. It applies to everywhere, including the stolons. So you're just not going to see them as much. You're going to see that the lawn is just going to be thicker, and they're not going to be as apparent visually than if you didn't do that. So what I would say is make sure you're mowing frequently. Be careful with how much pre-emergent you're using. Like don't overdo it on pre-emergent. And then growth regulator is also going to help with that. It's going to help promote that lawn really thickening up, and you're just going to look like a nice dense carpet. You're not really going to be able to individually see the stolons or runners on the lawn. So hope that helps, sir. As far as compaction, yeah, I mean, if a lawn is highly compacted, I could see that not that causing it. But I mean, really, that also would point to a lawn that's thin. Like even if you have compacted soil, but the lawn it's a relatively thick lawn, you really shouldn't see, like the stolons shouldn't be very apparent when you're just sitting there staring at the lawn. Does that make sense? So hopefully that helps. Without a picture, it's kind of tough to see exactly what you're dealing with, but yeah, I gave you some guidance. Don't abuse pre-emergent, mow regularly, and use growth regulator. All those three things will ensure that stones aren't like an ice, or they're not really sticking out as far as like visually, like they're very apparent that they're on the lawn. It should be like a big like web or carpet that's all kind of weaved together. It shouldn't be very apparent. All right, Tom Hoffenkamp, he says, oh yeah, on PGR, even if you have competition in the neighborhood, if you do primo, you'll be untouchable, number one, unless they do too. That's true, because it does raise the barrier, because if you, like, all things being equal, lawns that have the same nutrient program, same level of mowing, one using growth regulator, one not, the one using growth regulator is going to look better, in my opinion. I think that's the evidence kind of bears that out. Like, growth regulator is, especially for real mode turf, like shortcut turf, it is a game changer. Like, it really makes a big difference in the color, in the density, the hardiness of the turf. There's a lot of benefit other than just like reducing mowing. There's a lot of benefits to primo, to using growth regulator, other than just less mowing. That's like the primary reason people do it, but there's other side effects as well. Like, again, the color tends to be better. The turf's a bit hardier, a little better disease resistance. If you are trying to suppress seed heads, it's another good reason to do it. Good example, right? So whenever you get into like May timeframe, right? Whenever we start getting out of the cooler time of the year into like late spring, early summer, it starts getting hotter, and seed heads become more of a thing on lawns, right? It's like a stress response by the turf grass. If you're using growth regulator, you're going to have, you're still going to have seed heads, but it's going to be a lot less visually apparent than if you don't use growth regulator. So that's another benefit as well for like seed head suppression. Another reason to use PGR. So if you need another reason, that's another reason to do it as well too. When your neighbor's lawn looks kind of ugly because they got like seed heads all over the place, your lawn will look far less ugly because you'll have a lot less of them. All right, next up is Jared George. He says, I notice an abundance of worms in my front yard compared to the back every year. Maybe that's the difference. Can I introduce more worms in my backyard? Is that even something people do? It could be, man. I've never heard of like more earthworms in one part of the lawn versus the other really influencing like the appearance of stolons. I mean, is it I don't even know how that would even like how the two would even correlate. So I'm inclined to say no. I'm inclined to say that the two things aren't linked, Jared. And then as far as like if you were trying to get more biology, more earthworm activity in your was it your front in the lawn, that the part of the lawn that has less, just focus on improving the soil quality. Like, use a good biostimulant rich compost. Like, if you just create healthy soil, you're gonna really jumpstart like that engine, all the biology, all the microbes, all the beneficial creepy crawlies in the soil, that you're making it a lot more you're creating conditions for that to just naturally occur versus you trying to introduce it yourself. That's what I would tell you. Like, I always tell folks, don't chase an amazing lawn just through using fertilizer and just trying to get green grass by throwing fertilizer at it. Focus on creating healthy soil, and then you really can't help but have a healthy stand of turf grass. Like, great soil, like great grass is a byproduct of great soil. So just focus on the soil, and then everything else kind of takes care of itself. All right, James Kelly's up next. I'm marking it on my calendar. Nice. Yeah, I believe January 3rd is what we aimed for. I'll have it firmed up for you guys for next week whenever we do the drawing for the giveaway. Steve 293 says, can I dormant seed now? I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and it's a constant 40 to 54 degrees. It's not something I've ever done or have experience with. Now, I've heard like folks doing dormant seeding with cool season grass, and I guess that's a thing. With warm season grass, I wouldn't. I would wait until conditions are ideal, which typically when soil temperature in the mid 60s is when I would do my seeding project. That's a good question. I'm going to say this one. I'm going to ask Devin this, as far as like if it's something that they ever do, or what the benefits of dormant seeding are, other than you're just getting it done now, and I guess it could start growing a bit sooner versus waiting till springtime. Not something I have ever done or really hear being regularly talked about with warm season turf grass. It's mainly, every time I hear it mentioned, it's always in the context of cool season grass. And I don't really personally know what the benefits are, other than you just get it done and I guess if you get like a warm snap, it might germinate a bit sooner, I guess. But yeah. All right. Next up is Jared George. It's a good question. I like this one, Jared. He says, how early can I top dress? I understand why you do it in the active growing season, but if I'm not concerned about speeding of green up, but rather quality, wouldn't adding a small amount of soil early help? So how early? Here's why I would not do it until the lawn is growing. Is that, let's say right now, if you said you were going to go top dress your lawn in December, right? And you have a warm season lawn, could you do it? Technically, yes, but there's a lot of reasons to not do that. For one, the lawn just isn't, the grass just isn't going to grow through it until like March, April timeframe. If during that time you have any kind of heavy rainfall, which you're more than likely going to have, like you're going to have a lot more washout. You're just not really getting a lot of the benefits of it that you would get by just waiting until conditions are a bit ideal. In other words, if you wanted to top dress a bit earlier, so I always tell folks April, May timeframe is a good time to do it. But to say like late March, you wanted to get out there and do a top dress, like even then I wouldn't really have a ton of heartburn about it. Again, you may slow down the lawn, fully coming out of dormancy or greening up fully by doing that, but it's not like doing it now. Like I would not top dress a warm season lawn this time of year. There's really not any benefit, in my opinion, to really doing that. There's only downside. So closer to whenever the lawn is actively growing is when you want to do it. You're not gonna, less chance of smothering the grass. You have less chance of washout. And personally, I don't know if the benefits that you're gonna really see by doing it, like say in December, are really gonna be that much better than if you did it, say in late March. So I personally would wait until you're closer to the lawn being in the growing season before doing so. So hope that helps, Jared. Again, you're welcome to do whatever you want to do, but I mean, and to be honest, I mean, are you gonna kill the grass if you were gotten top dress now, Bermuda? Probably not, but I mean, there's just no reason. I mean, your lawn's just gonna look ugly for like 3 months. It's not like literally, it's just not gonna grow until conditions get warmer. So I don't really see the I don't see any benefit to it. I mean, another reason too is like you think about it. If you go out and you top dress this time of year, you're going to have this rich compost and soil blend that's covering the entire lawn. That's a beautiful playground for weeds to grow into. You know what I mean? Like because the grass again is not going to be really growing. So you've got all this topsoil and compost just kind of sitting there. It's a great place for weeds to germinate and just create a headache for yourself. So I personally wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would wait. Tom's up next. Is Jared. My skids scoop them up on rainy days around the hood and add them to the yards. Love them. All right. Next up, we got Michael and your anger. He says, this might be a stupid question, but what does the G stand for in essential G? It stands for granular. Granular. So it's kind of like in carbonized PNG. The G carbonized PN is like a compost product, and then the G is the granular version. So the G is for granular. It's a prill. Hope that helps, Michael. It's a good question. And then next up is Jonathan. He says, Merry Christmas, Ron. Thanks for all the knowledgeable videos and quality products. My first year of DIY and the Tahoma 31 renovation was a success on all accounts. Awesome. Love to hear that, Jonathan. And then he says, okay, I was just typing, but we'll save my answer. Well, you can give your answer. Tell you what, you can give the answer, Devin, but we're still going to ask it again on the live stream. So you can answer now because, I mean, think about it. It's this time of year, the live streams don't get a ton of viewership. So if we can answer it again, you can ask. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. Whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat. All right. And then we got Jared. He says, it seems like on the front yard, the stolons/runners are just right below the surface and kind of weave in and out, and you just really see the leaf blades. My backyard, I feel like they don't get into the soil. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I mean, it could be a compaction issue, Jared. But again, if you're treating both lawns the same, I don't see why there would be that big of a difference between the front and the back lawns. All right, next up is JC105. He says, Merry Christmas, Ron. I seen a charge from my wife a couple of days ago to reel rollers for $29.70. Oh, see, now here's the thing, JC. If you ever wondered if you had a winner on your hands, this is the answer, man. This is it. I mean, I think about it. A wife that buys the man in her life a reel mower. I mean, dude, that's love. That's major love. I mean, this, because here's the thing about it. Women will often go out and buy things, like they say, oh, I'm gonna buy, I don't know, whatever, a coffee maker, or insert some kind of thing, and be like, it's for the house, because both folks can benefit. Both parties can benefit from it. Everyone can use it. But a real mower that's really a dad toy. That's definitely a dad toy. She's probably not going to use the real mower. So that's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool that she got your real mower. He says, I have a feeling I'll be selling a couple of true cuts this spring. That's cool. You said a couple, so you have two. You have more than one real mower already. Here's what I would do. I would sell one of them. Like, keep one as a backup. That way you've got, if your one mower's down for service, whatever, you got a spare. But yeah, that's pretty sweet, man. That's pretty sweet. Wifey got you a real mower for Christmas. We'll clap it up, give you some dap for that. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. I like it. Mel Allen is up next. He says, howdy, lawn care folks. Still mowing my palmetto once a week with my Fisker's real mower. I get no break from lawn care living in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, but you also get great weather year round. There's also that. So, there's always something to it, right? There's a benefit for that. Next up, we have Stephen Voss. He says, I had a POA breakthrough in a section of my lawn. I put out certainty today. How long before I should expect results? 2 weeks. 2 weeks, you should begin seeing it yellowing. And the one thing I would say, Stephen, is if you're using certainty to control POA annua, you have to use the higher rate. So if you look at the label, there's some guidance on there for POA specifically. And if memory serves me, it's like 1.25 ounces per acre up to 2 ounces per acre for controlling POA annua. So if you, depending on the maturity of it, you might want to bias more towards that 2 ounce per 1,000, or 2 ounces per acre rate, which that equates to is, certainty comes with a measuring spoon. It's like 2 of the large scoops per 1,000 square feet is what will get you to that 2 ounce per acre rate, which is going to work well against POA. Be sure to use a little bit of surfactant with it. And again, within 2 weeks, you should start seeing results. You'll start seeing it yellowing up. And if it doesn't fully die off, another application will finish it off. Next up is James Kelly. He says, I really wouldn't recommend dormant seeding. If you get a few warm days, the seed will start to germinate, and you get a kind of cold snap, it'll kill it. There's going to be a lot of seed wasted. Yeah, so that's the thing, James. I mean, I don't really comment on it too much because I don't know necessarily what the benefits of it are. But you're right. That's a good point. If you get a warm snap, you get some germination, then a chill will kill it off. So I don't know what the benefit is, other than it's just something to do this time of year, I guess. Next we have Jared. He says, I was thinking maybe I could add some soil in the dips and areas directly after my first scalp, which I would only do after I see some signs of green. Not talking about winter, but before I have full green up. Yeah, in that case, if you're closer to spring, then I'd be okay with you doing some spot top dressing in some areas here and there. Realize the lawn is probably not going to grow through it until April, May timeframe, depending on temperatures. But yeah, as long as you're closer to springtime, if you want to do some light top dressing here and there, that would be okay. Again, I don't know that you're buying yourself a lot versus waiting until like the lawn is really like actively growing. But if you want something to do like in the early March timeframe, probably not gonna hurt anything. He says, my only reasoning is due to personal logistics. Last year, I leveled in June. I was thinking maybe late March. Yeah, so late March. Okay, see, now we're talking. That's more reasonable. Because you're asking this question now, so I'm thinking you want to do it in December. Late March, again, probably a bit early, but that's, late March is right before April, which is right before May. So you're talking, 2, 3, 4 week spread. It's not a huge difference. So depending on the temperatures you get, that's probably going to be okay. I just wouldn't do it like this time of year. So based on what you're saying, that I'd be okay with that. Again, go light, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of material, no more than that at any given time, and you should be just fine. Kelly Ducey is here. She says, my soil isn't frozen yet here in Northwest Ohio. Can I throw down half a bag of Essential G or wait till spring? I mean, if you have 2 to 3 weeks of forecast where you're not going to have freezing temperatures, which I kind of doubt in Ohio, you could. But Frank, I would probably wait till springtime, man. I mean, you're in Ohio. I can't see that in December through January, you guys are not going to have freezing. You know what? I'm just going. What's like a major city? And then you maybe go weather.com here. Let's go look at what Let's make their city. I guess Cincinnati, Ohio. How do you spell Cincinnati? Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio. Fine. Let's do that. So let's see. The 10-day. It's 33 degrees in Cleveland right now, man. And if I look at the 10-day, it is. Well, yeah. You know what? I mean, no. Yeah. So the high of 30, high of 28. So let's look at the lows. 23, 23. And then it gets in the third. Yeah, I would wait, man. I mean, you do have like a few splashes of brilliance where it's not quite freezing temperatures, but it's just, I wouldn't do it this time of year. I would wait. I would frankly wait, because you're probably also going to get, there's like a lot of rain. There's not really any snow, but I would wait. I wait till springtime. I mean, yeah, the ground doesn't look like it's going to be cold enough for the ground to freeze, but I mean, if you're in Cleveland, you got rain. Yeah, there's not any snow. I mean, I don't know. It's your call. I would probably wait though. You got a big section here where you got temps in the 40s and 50s. So your call. As long as the ground doesn't freeze, if it's not snow covered, I mean, you got to use like, common sense. You could, but I'd probably just wait until warmer weather. That's what I would do, Kelly. El Guapo is up next. He says, hey, Ron, my fall renovation was good, but I feel some of the seed didn't germinate because of cooler temperatures and lack of sunlight. Is there a chance the remaining seed will germinate in the spring, or is it toast? There's a chance. There's definitely a chance. I mean, I'll tell you, like Real Rollers did a seed of an overseed of perennial ryegrass a couple of years ago, and then 2 years later, they were still having some breakthrough on the Bermuda plot. So yeah, absolutely. You have a chance that some of it will still germinate come springtime. But then again, if you get to springtime and you still got some areas that are lagging heavily, you can always put out some more grass seed then. But yeah, you still might get some germination from what didn't grow in just yet. Okay, Michael Kuhn says, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, Ron. Knowing you probably bought your lawn some Christmas gifts. Not really. I pretty much have everything I need for my lawn. I didn't really get a whole lot for it this year. I got some carbonized PNG. I got some of that to do some filming with and whatever. Take some pictures, do some filming. But yeah, and my lawn's got plenty of Essential G also in the garage. It's spoiled. It's pampered. My lawn, it gets the good stuff. He says, so I know you really don't have any trees and plants, but if you did and had to decide between bagging all leaves and mulching, which would you pick? It depends. It depends on how heavy the leaves are. So I'm going to show you what I would use as my decision making, like when I would mulch and when I would bag. So picture's worth 1,000 words. I could say if the leaves are very heavy, there's a lot of leaf cover, then I would bag up and get rid of them. If it's light, then you could mulch them if you wanted to do that. But that's really subjective, like how much is light, how much is heavy. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to resources on our blog, and I think it's on the second page. We have a blog post on that very topic. So raking versus mulching leaves, which is better for your lawn? So if you look at this picture, if your lawn looks like the grass in the background where you've got mostly green showing through there and you've got some leaves on it, then this in the background, I'd be okay with mulching that if you really wanted to. If your lawn looks like what we see here in the foreground where it's all leaves and maybe just a sprinkling of grass, this I would not mulch. I would bag this up and or at least get some of it out before you mulched it. So this would be, I'd say, okay. This, I would say, too much. So based on that, you can decide for yourself, Michael. And if you want to read that blog post, I'll link it here in the chat for you, so you will have it. So Michael Kuhn, there is a blog post on raking versus bagging your leaves. You said, normally I have bagged, but I decided to just mow them recently for all the nutrient benefits. That's cool. It's also an option, Michael. But again, it gets to a point, like, yes, but you don't want to overdo it, in my opinion. You don't want to just keep putting more and more and more and more mulched up leaf material in a lawn, in my opinion. But you read that blog post, there's a lot of good guidance in there, and you can decide for yourself. Okay, guys, gals, so we are at the end of the live stream. However, there's a question you must answer, because last year I had the question and then people didn't go to it, and y'all your wanted to come after the live stream and like pitchforks because folks didn't want to folks didn't follow the rules. So the rules this year, it's pretty simple. You have to answer one question, and it's kind of a gimme. I can give you the answer even if you kind of help you out with it. Actually, the answer will be, if you're watching the live stream after the show's over, will be the pinned comment. But the answer the question you have to answer, and it needs to be your comment in this live stream that we're on now, once the show is over, is what is the liquid fertilizer that we introduced on the golf course lawn store this year? I'll give you a hint. It has nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in it. So what is the name of the liquid fertilizer that we introduced on the golf course lawn store this year? Have the name of that as your comment at this live stream, and then that gets you entered for the drawing for next week, whenever we will give away a bunch of swag. We'll give away t-shirts, soil test kits, and some other goodies. So be sure you are here. You have to be present to win. So if your name gets called and you're not here, then you didn't win. And I don't want to hear any belly aching. But that's the answer to the question. That's the question you have to answer. As far as your pinned comment, or as far as your comment goes, what is the liquid fertilizer that we introduced this year on the golf course lawn store? If you go to the homepage, you'll actually see it. It's like one of the first ones that's actually on the homepage. If you go to golfcourselawn.com, you'll see it there. So I can't help you about any more than that. All right. So hopefully that helps you guys. All right, and we got a couple more questions here, and then we'll wrap it up. This one is McNasty Motorsports. Says, I'm here begrudgingly. This season, put it to me like Georgia did to Texas. See, I was trying to be nice about that. But here's the thing: we might meet them again. Thank you guys. Thank you, Texas, for letting Georgia win so we can stay in the playoffs. But we still might meet again. You never know. Is trying pendimethalin this offseason. So far, it's put a hard stop on winter weeds, like nothing else so far. Awesome. I like to hear that, McNasty. And then next up is Bill Stewart. He says, tomorrow is a huge lawn milestone. Days start getting longer again. Yeah. Happy winter solstice to all. And on that comment, which is an awesome one to end on, we will cue the outro music. Well, guys, gals, thank you guys so much for taking some time to hang out in the live stream this evening. Again, the question you must answer is, in the comment section, is what is the name of the liquid fertilizer that we introduced on the golf course lawn store this year? That will get you entered in the drawing next week. If you enter a comment of something else, like saying, hey, we love the live stream, or some other question, that will not enter you. So you must have that as your comment. So make sure that's your comment whenever you are in at the end of the show tonight. And it should be fun. We're gonna give you some good stuff and get you guys started on your lawn care journey for next year. So for all you guys, I guess Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, holidays, whatever, Hanukkah, whatever you happen to celebrate. Be safe out there. Just be sensible, be aware of your surroundings, and enjoy this time with friends and family. And if all goes to plan, I will see you guys next week, next Friday on the 27th. Until then, have an amazing weekend. Take care.